Guys, I'm going to ask you a question in this video. I like the question, and the question was from one of you subscribers. I remember you asked me, and you said to me, I'm really worried, will my social anxiety get worse because of being in lockdown and obviously not being able to go out as normal and speak to people and meet people. And having had a lot of time to think that question through, the answer is, I don't want to upset you, but it's the truth. Unfortunately, yes. And I'm going to go into explain why and hopefully give you some tips on some kind of solution, right? There's always hope. But yeah, your social anxiety will come back, and I'll explain why, right? And this has also been my experience with social anxiety, with overcoming it, with dealing with it, and with it coming back as well. Now, I can only share as much as I know and I've understood and experienced, and from what I do know about social anxiety, having had it and worked very hard to overcome it. Social anxiety for me is like going to the gym. If you don't go to the gym for a long time, let's say you don't go to the gym for 1 year, you don't do any exercising, how's your body going to be? Like, it's not, you're not going to be in great shape, right? Unless you're fortunate to be blessed with great genetics, right? Most people are not. Most people have to work out to get into good shape, right? And even if you did have good genetics, if you didn't go to the gym, you're not going to improve. You're not going to get stronger or fitter by not working out, right? Just not scientifically. I don't think that's possible in all cases. So social anxiety is all about taking action, which my message has been about for years. It's all about how much action, how much momentum that you build. So social anxiety, for someone who has it bad, right? I had it bad, right? Same way all of you had it, where it is hard to be around people and not feel nervous and anxious. It is stressful to hold, to maintain eye contact for long periods of time. It is nerve-wracking. It is hard for you to be fully settled, in your own body when you're around people. It is difficult for you to sometimes string your sentences together without stuttering or stumbling or getting awkward or freezing up or running out of things to say or getting in your head. All the symptoms, all the triggering points, all those little behavioural tendencies that come from having social anxiety, and the paranoia of worrying about continuously what the other person's thinking about you, whether they're evaluating you in a negative light, whether they're judging you, whether they think you're silly, and a lot of the paranoia that you have in your head. What other symptoms are there? Yeah, like getting awkward or being scared to offend someone or being frightened of getting into an argument or disagreeing. That can also be partially part and parcel of social anxiety. But yeah, and some people, that they blush, they go red in social situations. That of course you get embarrassed. Some people sweat. Fast heartbeat. Adrenaline. For some people, they actually get paralysed. They can't speak. They freeze up. I've been through that. So all those symptoms, all those negative effects that social anxiety makes you have, the only way that you can improve those symptoms and get over them, or completely get rid of some of them or all of them, right, is by putting in a lot of practice. And if anyone, I'll explain that just in case you're a complete layman, right? You don't understand a lot of what I'm saying. You can only improve with your social anxiety and get over it by talking to people and doing it on a regular basis. So obviously, with the lockdown and the long periods of isolation where you can't go out and meet people, you can't date, you can't go to a nightclub, you can't go to a coffee shop that's open and sit down. I mean, you can go to one and take it away. You can't go and meet up with friends, you can't go to group events, all of those different social settings have been removed at the moment. So when you take them away, you're going to start losing social confidence. You will, you might not lose everything. So this thing that you're trying to win at is one in momentum. Momentum is when you're doing it regularly. And that's the thing I've noticed with social anxiety. it is a difficult thing to face. I've always said that. It's very stressful mentally and emotionally. It was for me, same for everyone. I coached hundreds of people over the years who had social anxiety, and I saw how hard it was for them at the start, and I knew because I had it as well, but I saw how much they improved and overcome it. So if you're not able to be able to practice talking to people and getting used to being around people to the point where do you know what happens, and I'm going to use different words to equal the same meaning. When you've got social anxiety and you start pushing yourself and you start meeting up, making friends, going around people regularly, whatever setting it is, whether it's going on dates with girls, whether it's meeting up with friends regularly and spending like the whole day with them, or sometimes with friends you spend the whole night, you stay over each other's place, whatever, watching films, going to work as well. If you're going to work every day in an environment where you have to be around people, interact with people, or if your job is to deal with people on the phone or in person, whatever social setting that your life requires you to take part in, that's given you all that social practice. And the body and the mind is an amazing invention of a human being, because what I've learned over and over again, what happens with social anxiety is the more you practice meeting people, the more numb you get to the anxiety, and that's a good thing. Don't think it's numb as, oh, numb, I can't feel anything. No, you can feel like good emotions and stuff, but you become desensitized, and that's what you want. That's how you get over this thing. And that takes place with momentum. So I'll give you an example. For most people who've got social anxiety, if they was to make a video vlog like I'm doing now, they'd be very nervous doing the video, and it would be quite evident, right? It's very likely they'd be like stuttering, they would be panicking, they wouldn't know what to say, their body language. But if they did a video every single day for a week, you would notice a slight improvement or a big improvement with that person. So if they made 7 YouTube videos 1 week in a row, so Monday to Sunday, by the time it got to Saturday and Sunday, on their 6th or 7th attempt, that person would be a lot more confident. You'd notice that they'd be a bit more relaxed, their tone, their demeanour. And just imagine if that person actually did it for a month, what they'd be like compared to the first day. And then let me get you to imagine what they'd be like 6 months. 6 months of doing YouTube videos every single day. That's momentum. And after a while, what happens is, the more you go into fear and anxiety, whether it's social fear or anxiety, any fear in life, it doesn't have to be social, the more you keep going into that feeling, that emotion, that energy, the less it frightens you, because your body gets used to it. You adapt to it. You get used to that feeling. You get used to that feeling of panic when you're talking to someone and they're looking at you, or when you start a conversation with someone, or when you're in a group of people and there's like 5 or 6 people. You get used to that stimulus, to the noise levels, to that feeling that, oh, I'm in the spotlight, oh, I feel judged, I feel awkward. You start getting used to that, and that's when you start growing, and that's when you start thriving within the anxiety, and that's when it starts to go away. But if you haven't got the opportunity to practice facing that fear and that anxiety, what happens is, it's like saving up in a bank or interest. It's slowly at the start, but it's building. And when I mean it's building in a negative way. The anxiety is coming back slowly. It's coming back, it's coming back, it's coming back, it's coming back, because you're on your own all the time. You're not getting a chance to exercise your social skills, and your body, your psyche, your biology, your physiology, the fight or flight, the adrenaline that gets triggered in social situations, that's not getting exercised. So basically, it's like a phase of deterioration, right? It's like you're just deteriorating. Not like, you're not going to die, obviously, right, from not socialising. Well, I hope not, right? Please God, no, you're not going to die from, but, obviously some people, God forbid, they can get ill and take their own life, and we're praying that doesn't happen with anyone, right? But you're not going to die from, from having social anxiety but it is going to make you depressed. It is going to affect your life in various different ways. It is going to cause, you know, addictions, porn addiction, food addictions, all that. That's another consequence, right? I'm not saying that's 100%, but very likely, unless you're very strong-minded, and most of us, we're not that strong-minded. You know, we can be if we develop our minds, but most of us are human. We're vulnerable. We have weaknesses. So that's the reason why a long-term lockdown is going to affect you. But I want to end on a positive note, right? And I'm going to get your thoughts below. You can overcome it still. You can get back out and start facing your social anxiety and once again overcome it with a lot of momentum. But I would say, let's say we're in lockdown for a year now and you haven't really been socialising much, and now it's come back. When we do come out of the lockdown, please God, fully, when you start going into your first social situations, you're gonna feel big doses of social anxiety. I'm very confident of that based on my many years of experience dealing with it myself and overcoming it and helping thousands of people, coaching them to get over social anxiety, right? In reality, in real life, not on a computer or an app. So the first several interactions are going to feel really frightening and overwhelming, and that's because the body has got used to not being around people, and it's not used to that stimulus, that stress. You know, it's not used to being around people, so your body's going to react. The body is amazing like that. So basically, you've got to train your body and your mind. You've got to retrain it again. You've got to get your whole functioning. I know I sound like I'm going deep, but it's true, all true. And if you're enjoying this video, subscribe, by the way. So your body has to get used to that emotional stress. It has to be able to deal with, you know, people looking at you, making eye contact, you speaking, the other person speaking, being able to listen, you know, being able to articulate your words without stuttering and without panicking and freezing up in situations and getting awkward. It has to adjust. It has to get used to it. So basically, if I can put it in layman's terms, you will lose confidence through inactivity. Inactivity in regards to not socialising, and it's not your fault. It's no one's fault because of this pandemic. So you'll have to build up that momentum again, build up that social momentum, socialise, loads of socialising. That's what my plan is when we come out of this, and to help more people. So, and then eventually the body adapts, it adjusts to the level of fight or flight, adrenaline, and then you stop getting those triggers as heavy. So after 6 weeks, or let's say after 3 months of socialising, when you come out of the lockdown, you're going to be more used to being around people now. It's not going to be as stressful, and that's a brilliant thing. That's something to look forward to, right? I didn't want to depress everyone, and I wanted to give everyone hope, but I wanted to tell you the full truth. So you were right when you asked the question. Yes, it is going to come back because mine's been coming back, and it's just the way it works, especially for people who have, you know, because social anxiety, as most of us know, common sense, it comes from trauma. You know, the stuff that we go through when we're younger, bad experiences. And I am a believer that some of it, I think, is genetic. We can just be born with it. It can be passed down, but a lot of it is environmental as well. It is, you know, things that we've gone through, bullying and situations. But it is a learnt behaviour. It is a learnt behaviour. But you can teach yourself and learn how to not be anxious around people. But that's putting in a lot of practice that you've got to be willing to do, facing a lot of fear, being very brave, and making yourself vulnerable. But it's worth it. It's extremely worth it, believe me, when you start feeling good around people and you can control the anxiety. And in certain spots and patches, it will completely go away. It won't even come up anymore. It wouldn't be an issue for you. But yeah, this is, you know, I couldn't be any more truthful. Just trying to get in the right shot. And if I've done the camera lens, never mind. Bit of a perfectionist. I'm trying to get different shots. So all you can do at the moment, all I can do, all of us can do, is just be patient. There's not much more we can do. If you can't have access to socialising with people, then you can't really clone that, you know. I think the next thing you can do, like I said, if you want to, is you can make YouTube videos, or you can make live streams, you can join chat rooms, you can speak on the phone to friends. That will be better than nothing, but that's not going to fully give you the same confidence, the same level of anxiety control as meeting people in person. Meeting people in person is the best therapy out of all of the therapies for getting over social anxiety. Maybe for other problems you wouldn't have to necessarily be in person. You could solve the matter over the phone call or over a Skype call, but with this very unique, well, not unique, that's the wrong word, sorry, but this particular problem, it requires in-person communication, socializing, relationship building, and things like that. So there's a lot of positives in this, but yeah, you were right. It's, you know, it does, social anxiety doesn't go on its own. The person, you're the one who has to get rid of it. You've got to work through it. You've got to work through your fears, those triggers, and you've got to learn to control them. And some of them will go away, because a lot of mine, after I practiced for about a year or two, they just completely went away. But there were certain triggers that would always come up for me, but they started to get less intense, the feelings and the emotions that I would feel in certain social situations that would usually trigger my social anxiety in that moment. They would come, but they'd be a lot more milder, and I would be able to control it and keep it down, or, you know, or override it with my confidence and, like I said, the mental strength, and my body just adapted to it. So the body is amazing. It does adapt to the circumstances and the environment and what you're giving your body. So obviously your body's going to adapt to long periods of isolation, and it will also adapt to a lot of social interaction, stimulus. It will get used to it. What's the time on this? Trying to keep this before 20 minutes. So at the moment, yeah, all you can do at the moment is what I've said throughout the video, is practice being patient, find a hobby, and you know, speak on the phone or do WhatsApp calls, or at least, because I don't know if you're living in London, the rules are you're not really meant to go out unless it's for food or exercise. It's unbelievable, man. It's horrible, this at the moment. I'm not going to lie, it's getting to me. No access to gyms, you can't really go out and date, can't really meet people. You can only really say hello to people when you're in shops, and you've got to wear these masks. It's a nightmare, it's not good. But hopefully it will be over, and then you can, many of you, all of us can, you can just rebuild that confidence. But I will say this, if you're someone who has had social anxiety, and then you've put a lot of personal development effort in working, and you've made big improvements, and you've overcome it, or you've improved, you've lessened it, it will be a lot easier for you and quicker if your social anxiety is coming back now because of the inactivity, because of lockdown. You'll do it a bit quicker because you've done it before. But for someone who has got social anxiety right now, unfortunately, right, and don't get down, you can still overcome it, who hasn't, you know, practiced a lot of exposure therapy over the years and got to a good point where they're more comfortable around people, that's going to take you a bit longer, but you can still do amazing. So don't compare yourself to other people, because, you know, everyone's different, and you can always catch up. It's not a competition amongst other people, you know, who've got social anxiety, but you'll always get to where you want to get to, but you've got to put the effort in. So it's all about momentum. You know, you beat this thing by building momentum. I remember a period of my life where I was like, oh my God, I don't have it anymore, and I really didn't. And I never thought it would come back. And then a couple of years later, I went through some mental health challenges, and then I had to be isolated, or maybe I played a part in, I stopped socializing as much, and it came back really strong. I was so surprised. I felt like I was being back to beginning again, and then I had to work through it and then overcome it again. So it is a little bit like that. It is frustrating. It is give and take, but you can't blame yourself, because you're not, you know, you didn't make the lockdown rules, and we didn't ask for this pandemic. This thing has happened. So just try and keep yourself busy in the meantime. Set goals, films, music. If you go to work, then go to work. You know, if you can do online dating, try and do what you can. Do all the things you can do to keep yourself happy and busy and motivated until we come out of the lockdown. But I totally get it, man. If people are saying that they're just not had enough, I feel the same. It is hard, but that's why today I've shown up and done this video. I didn't really feel like it, but I wanted to help, wanted to do something positive, and I did enjoy it, actually. But So yeah, I will do more videos on it, but I am glad that I've got this knowledge, you know, guys and girls, because I've gone through so much facing fear, and I put myself in so many frightening social situations that scared me. I really was frightened, and it's great to have something, a reward for doing it, and the reward is the knowledge that I've got and the experience that I can share with other people, and I can also share with me as well, and that knowledge gives you tools. So yeah, you'll get better, you know. Like a few people have said to me, you know, how do I overcome running out of things to say? That's another question I get a lot, you know, and that's part of social anxiety. That is one of the symptoms where you worry that you're going to run out of things to say, and when you're in social situations, you actually go blank when you're talking to people. And the answer to that question is the same answer for the other question, is practice. The more you practice going into social situations with people, the less likely you are to dry up and run out of things to say, because you start getting good at listening better, you start getting good at coming up with things to say, you just get good at that certain maneuver. And you also might have to go through some situations where you do run out of things to say. It happened to me loads of times, but I eventually got over it by not giving up, not being defeated, and having another try again. Okay, on this day I'm embarrassed, I ran out of things to say in a social situation, it was a bit awkward with the person, or maybe they weren't awkward but I felt awkward. I feel a bit down now, but I'm not going to quit. Tomorrow's another day, I'll go into another social situation and I'll do my best so that doesn't happen again, and eventually you get it right. And when you get it right, it gives you a lot of confidence, and then you start having that, you go into social situations with more confidence because you've passed your own grading, your own test, because we all grade ourselves, we all do it, whether we say that's good or bad. We all have a certain standard we set for ourselves socially and social interactions, and if we don't meet that standard, we get depressed, we feel ashamed, we feel down. So, you know, these things can motivate you, alright? So I hope that helps become fearless.